And it kind of got me thinking, I think that's one of the shifts that's taking place right now is certain plants are going into that seeding stage. That's a good description. Like when they go into that seeding, they're putting all their energy into the seed so the plant dries up so it's less palatable to the deer. They don't like it as much. While other plants are just now flowering, and that's when they're really nutritious for a deer. So some of those food sources are changing. I think that's one of the things that's shifting them. Welcome back, everybody, to another Thursday Q&A edition of the podcast. Jacob, how are you today?
Doing great. In the hunting club, getting tons of crap from people. Good times. Not really. I've had some people like, man, you went to the dark side, boy.
You sell out.
Yeah. But anyway. Also got some connections, some land. And prime part of Alabama and also Illinois, which I'm pretty thrilled about.
Hey, listen there.
We ain't going to talk about that in this episode, but I'm excited.
No, you just had to drop it in there.
Just had to put it in.
Another flex on everyone.
Nah. Good to have some awesome friends.
Yeah. Hey, kids, life's not about what you know. It's about who you know.
Amen. But anyways, yeah, but we got this going on today. Old podcast. Got some Q&As.
Yes, sir.
Deer season is coming quick. Had some buddies kill some deer in Tennessee on the velvet hunt.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if we'll talk about that because we didn't do that hunt this year. But yeah, it's coming fast. Cold weather just showed up.
Yeah, dude. I walked outside this morning. I was like, whew.
It was like 55 degrees.
Yeah. In August? That's crazy.
For us in Alabama, that's cold.
That's that's crazy. That's really crazy. All right, let's do some Q&As. Our first one is from Corey Clayton from Alabama.
So, this is Corey Clayton here in Alabama on some public land, doing some scouting. I know y'all run into issues with having food water cover everywhere you go, and y'all talk about being in pine country a lot. As you can see, it's flat as a pancake here. What about those same type of scenarios, but then you add all like a large abundance of corn in the mix to the already abundant food, water, and cover? How would y'all go about approaching them, a place like this, just out of curiosity? Second part, I hear y'all talk about oak trees all the time, acorns, and how they play a role in feed, early season. I don't hear y'all talk, to what I remember anyways, about pin oaks very often. What are your thoughts on pin oaks? Do you think deer eat them? I've seen them eat pin oaks, but only like in marshy areas on like a dry island kind of, and there'd be like pin oaks. But these fields around here, the edges of them are loaded with pin oaks like everywhere. There's deer sign under them, but they're not heavy. Is that something you would factor in as potential food in addition to the plethora that's already there? Anyways, thanks guys. Love your show. Been a listener since day one. Keep it up. Can't wait to hear. Thanks.
All right, cool, Corey. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being a listener for so long, man. That means a lot. Also, I like your style. Any guy that is summer scouting with a fishing pole, in case he runs across a new little bass spot, I like that guy.
Sounds like he needs snake gators too for water moccasins.
I'm curious on where he's at. Anyways,
so answer the first question. Talk about abundance, food, water, cover, but introducing agriculture to it. How does that play a factor?
We've hunted some spots like that before.
Yeah.
The reason I'm curious about where he's at because I'm wondering if we've hunted there before. What we found success with is hunting areas like that, especially early, keying in on the ag and finding where the deer are actually still going to that agriculture. We've had a lot of good hunts like that. Mm-hmm. I've never shot a nice buck doing that or anything, but depends on what your goals are. I'm just saying, in my personal experience, I've had some really good hunts just going and checking those ag fields and just walking the edges of them, especially if you can find one that has some cover right up against it. One of the ones I'm thinking of that was in a setting pretty similar to this, there's a little bean field, and the bean field went right up against a swamp that had all kinds of willows and cattails and nastiness in it. And dude, the trail coming out of those willows, you remember that? I lost my pocket knife right there. That spot, dude, I mean, that trail was like a highway coming out of there. And the beans, by the time season opened, the beans had just started to yellow a little bit. They were like half yellow, half green. And we sat it, and we saw like 9 deer that night. 9 does came out. Ton of buck sign there. But they were still eating in those beans, even though they're partially yellow. So we've had luck with that. And I think you've done something similar in Tennessee, hunting around cornfields, right?
Yeah, corn, beans, all of it. I mean, it seems, especially if there's corn, it's cover that deer can use and bed in and navigate through really easily. I've seen that a lot in Tennessee, especially if it's like, you get some cornfields and it's like viney.
Yeah.
Like they didn't spray it. And it's green, lush. Like there's no bare dirt. It is like vines growing in there. Like a lot. Like it looks like some of it's honeysuckle, but some of it's something I don't know what's growing in there. But there's deer just all in that stuff. And then once they cut the corn out, it eliminates that whole block of cover, so they kind of drift back to some more traditional spots. But with that, I mean, especially if it's beans glassing, that's like you can put trail cameras out. But if you can just spend some time and get far enough away from it, 200, 300, 400 yards. With a good wind and glass it morning and evening, you can really figure out where the deer are coming from. And if it's like tall beans, like beans that are like you're staying out and it's like chest high beans, they could be bedding in those beans.
Yeah.
Early season. But thing is, if you're in Alabama, season, or most of the state doesn't open to October 15th, that stuff's going to be dead and gone. Like that's not going to be a factor for you. So just take that in consideration. I mean, the big thing is you can use those fields as ways to backtrack where deer are coming and going from if they're not living in that agriculture. Like again, thick corn, maybe living in it right now, but once they cut that out, it's gone. So like trying to find the best cover around there and using, finding those trail intersections can be really, really good. And just cutting tracks. One thing that's fun about hunting big fields is especially after rain, a couple days after rain, going out there and looking for big tracks coming in and out of the field, and all you gotta do is walk the perimeter of the edge, like right where there's bare soil, looking for tracks coming in and out, and that can really tell you, at least right now, what section of a field they're using coming in and out of, and then you can use that then backtrack maybe a little bit further in the woods and figure out what cover they're actually using as well. Now on the pin oaks,
well, one more thing on the ag side. Whenever I've found a good situation in an area like that, it's always when there's cover maybe to one side of the field, and it's maybe a little bit isolated. So like the hunt I mentioned earlier, where all those willows and everything came up against that bean field, it was really only like the top corner of the field where that cover kind of connected to that field on the edge of it. And then all the other sides of the field were either open hardwoods or like a strip of timber and then another field. So this is a smaller one. And then I've had other instances where, again, I wonder if it's where you said you think he was. But I went and scouted there, and it was a cornfield, and the deer were in the cornfield. But the problem was the long side of the cornfield. It was a couple hundred yards long. That whole side was thin pines, and it was great cover all through there. And so I walked that whole edge, and you could find plenty of deer sign, but I never found like a good heavy trail that they were using coming back and forth. And I think it's because of that big giant edge. They could be anywhere in those pines, and they could come out into any part of that field. And so I think maybe going and focusing it on the sections that maybe the cover's a little bit more isolated. And then another thing, like you mentioned earlier, there's a pretty long runway between right now in August and when deer season actually opens in Alabama. So those food sources could change quite a bit. So I think it's good walking around out there and getting a lay of the land. But before, I wouldn't even necessarily be scouting the food sources a ton right now. I mean, you can, but I'd be trying to find the cover, like where are the marshes, where are the cattails, where are the willow thickets, alder thickets, whatever the thicket forming plants might be, or there's some storm blowdowns in the area, because that's not as volatile as the food sources. And then especially if it's beans or something, I would start focusing actually scouting the beans and where they're coming out in the beans within 2 weeks of when you're planning on actually hunting it.
If the beans are still green and they haven't turned completely brown at that point.
That's what I'm saying, is like before you walk the edge of those beans and find a bunch of big trails coming out into it, I would rather go find the cover that they're going to stay in even after the beans turn. or after the corn gets cut, or like whatever the agriculture is, because it might completely change. Like that's something that I would put more stock in, like what you're saying, walking the edge of it and finding the tracks and everything. I would do that like the week before you plan on hunting it, just because it can change so quick. You know, you might find something slam dunk right now and then come back October 15th and it's dried up.
Yeah, and Richard Fott talked about that a couple weeks ago when we had him on the podcast. He was talking feed trees, but he's like, you can't go scout a feed tree this weekend and then hunt next weekend. Because more than likely they've shifted, trees done, and it's on to the next thing. Like you got to find it fresh, which kind of goes over to you talking about pin oaks. The pin oaks red oak species drops a small acorn. I've seen a couple, but not a ton. Kind of like normally where we hunt. I've seen more in Tennessee than where I've seen down here in Alabama. The thing is if you can find the tree and like you're scouting now and you're looking at all these different oaks, you're probably hopefully carrying binos with you, glassing trees, looking for acorns, and you're kind of marking some of those on the map. That's when it's important to come back again the next couple of weeks and start spot checking, especially when storms start coming in, blowing acorns out, deer start feeding on them a little early, but then which ones are dropping and then which ones are having more sign than the others. So like if those pin oaks are around those fields and there's deer clearly coming to them and you're trying to shoot some does or maybe a buck, it could be a great spot. Like I know guys have done it with different oak species, you know, sawtooth oaks, drop real early, white oaks, and so on around little food plots around along the side of the roads that sometimes are overlooked. People aren't getting out there and hunting that early season, but you can kill a deer on one of those trees potentially fairly easy, relatively saying, early season when the season opens up. It's just the weird thing is in Alabama, most of the state doesn't open to October 15th. And if that's the case, you're going to have some trees dropping early. Like last year, prime example, talking about just feed trees and oaks that are producing oaks, was we had a bad drought. A lot of trees were aborting acorns really early, especially red oaks.
Yeah.
And I was finding red oak feed sign like crazy mid-September.
Yep.
A month before season started in Alabama. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be crazy. I'm like, kind of sucks that they're already doing it now, but like you were finding so much sign. And by the time season opened or within 5 days of season, that stuff was so far gone. It was done. There was nothing else. All the water dried up in like this one big section of public that I was in. And was really confident I was going to kill one opening week, kill a buck opening week, which did not happen. And they totally shift. Like I never relocated where those deer went. I don't know if they left the public because there's private land next to it, or if they had shifted to a different section of the public. But it's just so volatile, like food is. Cover's pretty consistent. Food is so volatile. You just need to find what's the hottest thing at that time. So again, you're finding pin oaks, drop pins on them. That's great. Pay attention to them, and then come and spot check them. And even if you find one that's on the edge of the field, it seems like it's getting some pretty decent activity. You can throw a camera up on it and see what's coming, and see if they're even coming during daylight. Because the one thing that makes me nervous, even early season, like you can definitely have bucks and does, especially does, walk out in the middle of a field. There's a couple oak trees dropping out there and feeding on them, light pressure. People aren't messing with them. But that changes very quickly. Once they get bumped a couple times, that completely changes. And they're kind of getting tucked back a little bit closer to that cover. So
Yeah.
just pay attention.
At the Mobile Hunters Expo, I was talking to a guy there, a guy who we might have on the podcast in the near future. And he brought up a really interesting point because we're talking about how a lot of places it looks like we're having a bumper year for a mast crop. All the oaks are just absolutely loaded down. In fact, we were setting up a little bow spot yesterday. Me and you were on my club, and those white oaks are actually starting to drop a little bit. And if you went and found, like when we were setting up the blind, you could hear them dropping. And I went over there and found a couple of the acorns, and they weren't fully developed. They were green, but there's just so many up there. Like if you look at the clumps, they're all growing in like little clumps, and it's like there's like not enough room on the limb for all of them.
There's some extra weight on that tree.
Yeah,
or those trees.
But one interesting thing that this guy brought up was on a bumper year like this, where they got plenty of water, plenty of food, that those resources aren't limited, so the deer can really just be where they want to be and not where they have to be, which I thought was a really interesting point. So I don't know exactly how to take that information and use it, but I'm going to be thinking about it because it makes sense because, last year they were all kinds of messed up and all my spots that I was counting on from the year before that were good were just totally dried up. Mm-hmm. So I guess, this year going into it, I'm kind of thinking about it from the perspective of like, if I was a deer, where's like the best everything? Like the food's kind of everywhere. They got great water, so it's like where's the best water, the best food, and the best cover, the closest together, and then go look at that. So that's just one thing I'm trying to do this season.
Yep, like, great.
People might find helpful.
Great questions, though. I mean, it's interesting.
Yep.
Just trying to put those last bit of pieces together before season gets here. That's the one thing I like about Alabama. Like, there's been times and years I'm like, man, I wish we opened earlier. It would be cool if we did. But also, the good thing about, especially the majority of the state opening October 15th, no, there's some parts like South Alabama. You get south of I can't talk. South of Montgomery, it is still like almost like a late summer pattern.
Oh,
by
yeah.
the time early bow season opens, October 15th. But a lot of the other parts of the state, those deer maybe still batched up a little bit, but they've all shed their velvet, and they're laying down enough sign, and everything's starting to change enough that I feel like you have a pattern that can kind of work for you a little bit longer than if we open in September and stuff's like constantly kind of moving and going. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
it's an interesting opportunity that we have down here. And then, of course, it goes way later, and we get chased right in January.
Yep. All right, next up we got Drew Sawyer from South Carolina.
What's up, Jacob and Andrew? My name's Drew, and I currently hunt in South Carolina, Game Zone 2. My question today is, I just don't really know where to start, to be honest with you. I've been hunting for 3 years. Killed my first buck last year, felt good, on private. But to get to my question is, I'm in this club. It's about a 700-acre tract, and it's mainly all pines. You might have 100 acres of hardwoods and everything. Well, past 2 years I've been hunting in this club. I mainly hunt this tract. I just can't seem to have any luck here with the deer. I get them on camera and everything, but I just can't seem to come across one when I'm there, and I just don't know what to do. Like, I mean, I've tried to scout on the things that I know, but I just don't know what to do with it being this late, being August. I just don't know if it would be good to go in there and see what I can find and risk like pushing them or spooking them and moving them. I just don't know what to do. So big fan of y'all's podcast, been listening to y'all for the past 2 years. So I just wanted to see what y'all would recommend, and greatly appreciate it. Just hope y'all have a good one. Thanks.
All right, Drew, appreciate you listening, man, and congrats on that buck last year. You're ahead of the curve, my man. Jacob's excited about this question. I saw you squirming over it.
Oh, yeah. So, Drew, if I remember, again, listening to your question, seeing your question, you're talking about, you're on this club, but you can't really figure out the deer. You're getting on camera, but when you go and you're not seeing anything. There is a episode for anybody in this circumstance that y'all need to listen to, which is episode 206. It's audio only. It's not on YouTube. Maybe it's one we could redrop on YouTube. I think it'd do really good. But it's with our buddy Kevin Tolis. Find and hunt a big bucks sanctuary with Kevin Tolis. And he's talking about from a private land hunting club perspective and how he has success killing really good deer on hunting clubs to the point he normally gets kicked out of the hunting club because he normally kills 2 to 3 of the biggest bucks on the place, and then they're like, you're done. If you're not seeing deer, you're seeing them on camera, but you're not seeing them on the hunts, to me, there's 2 things there. Your entrance and exit route is probably bad because they know you're in there, or you're setting up incorrectly for wind and thermals, and they're smelling you. They may not blow, but they're not coming into that spot. Okay? So take that in consideration. And that comes up a lot on some different questions we've had and guests we've had over the years. Is like, if you're seeing them on camera, but you're going in there, especially if it's pretty consistent, especially just does coming, whether it's a food plot, oak tree that's dropping acorns, a trail system, a feeder, it doesn't matter. If you're going in there and you're not seeing deer, and it's consistently you're not seeing deer, but they're there when you're not there, they know you're in there. And more than likely, it's your entrance and exit route, and or you're setting up wrong because of the wind.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, actually. I would check your entrance routes especially. It sounds like you might be alerting them. I mean, 100 acres of hardwoods, that sounds great. It sounds like a pretty jam-up club. And yeah, I mean, you kind of took everything I was gonna say.
Yeah, but I'll just mention this episode again. Again, episode 206. If you search Kevin Tullis, Tullis, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it'll pull up the episode. Again, it's from November 2020. It'd be a great one for a refresh. I'm going to go re-listen to this episode just because I just now got in a hunting club to kind of hunt a little bit this fall, along with our public land, because Kevin's got some great insight in there of how to hunt a hunting club effectively, especially a high-pressure hunting club, which most hunting clubs have a decent amount of pressure on there, especially if you're a weekend guy. Most of the guys in the club are going to be weekend guys, especially talk about gun season. A lot of guys are going to be out there hunting. So that'd be a really good episode for y'all to go back and listen to. Again, episode 206 with Kevin Tullis. But again, a great question. That is the challenging thing. I mean, when on a property like that, it's easy to use some of the easier access in and out of spots. But you got to think about a couple things. Like, not only what are you walking through or what are you walking by in order to get to your stand site? As in, like, are you walking by good bedding on an afternoon hunt? Are you walking through really good feeding areas in the morning when they're out still feeding in the dark? How the wind's acting in those spots, but also what are the other members in the club doing? Because it's not just you hunting out there. That's the thing, that hunting clubs to me are so similar to public land hunting, except for you have a better idea of potentially where people are hunting at versus public. And that, I think that's the only advantage of hunting a hunting club, is you kind of have a pretty good idea of predetermining hunting pressure and where that's located at. And hopefully you can use that to your advantage, as Kevin Tullis talks about in his episode. So just take that in kind of consideration out there. But I really think it's probably entrance and exit that's probably hurting you. And that's something you got to think about and look at yourself and figure out, well, what am I doing? How am I accessing? How am I paying attention to the wind walking into to and from the stand, and so on. And maybe you can answer your own question because of that. Because, of course, we can't see the property. We don't know what it looks like and how you're entering and exiting your spots, entering. I can't talk. But, yeah, I mean, this is a really small detail. If you can get that worked out, I think you'll have a lot more success at least seeing deer and getting opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Next up, we got Sean Ingram from Tennessee.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sean from Tennessee. Got a question about game cameras on public land. I run a website, hunting and trapping website, and a lot of my subscribers have asked before, what kind of game cameras do you suggest on public land? And usually what I've told them is the cheaper the better, because I'm, worried about theft and everything. So just wondering what you guys would suggest about what kind of cameras to use on public land.
All right, Sean. I actually like this question because I feel like I give a different answer than people would expect. I've been running trail cameras for a long time, and I've had one stolen ever, and it was on private land. I've never had one taken off of public land. I think that if you're worried about them getting stolen, then yeah, I mean, I'd use a cheap one. We like the Tascos, those new Tascos that they came out. They're like, what, $30?
$28 from Walmart.
$28 from Walmart. Hard to beat that.
Yep.
Don't take a great picture. Don't take a great video. But hey, I mean, do you really need like a HD video of a deer? I don't know. But those are great. But I've got a bunch of those Moultrie Edge cameras. I run all those on public. And the reason that I think that we don't really have any cameras get stolen is because we're not usually putting them on the beaten path. And if it is in a spot where I'm afraid someone might walk past it, I'll hang it up in a tree like 10 feet, angle it downward, which I really don't like doing that because it limits your field of view so much. But if I think it's in a spot where it might get messed with, I'll do that. Or if I'm putting it on a scrape, especially, I try not to put it at eye level. But that would be my tip is, if you're putting them in real obvious spots where there's probably going to be someone walk past it, like a big deer trail right off an access path or something like that, or a big scrape on a logging road or something like that, then yeah, there's probably going to be somebody walk past it. In that case, yeah, maybe use the cheaper camera or hang it up higher in a tree. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say the one advantage, if you want to use cell cameras, those Moultrie Edge cameras, Moultrie mobile cameras, is someone can't check your camera because it doesn't have an SD card. It's got a built-in memory system, which I really like. And then like some of the new ones have a built-in GPS, so if someone does steal it, you can see where it's at. They cut it on, you know exactly where it's at. And we've actually heard of people who had one of those cameras stolen. Guy turned it on back at their house, and they were able to call a sheriff deputy, and they actually go and get it. Yep. So that's one good thing about the Moultrie mobiles is, again, not being able, someone can't check it while they're out there. But other than that, if you just want cheap cameras, like those Tascos are hard to beat. And again, like we've had this question come up a couple times in the past about people messing with cameras, and I think there's different levels of hunting pressure. I completely understand that there are some states or some pieces of public that get way more pressure per acre when it comes to people than others. But a lot of places that we hunt, there's decent amount of hunting pressure, if not higher amounts of hunting pressure in certain specific hunts. But because we're not putting them in typically the most obvious spots, we don't really have any kind of issues there. Again, I can't remember ever having really an issue on public land with trail cameras. So, and some of them are even far off the road, but they're in a spot that like very few people are going to walk in there. So, just take that in consideration. Like if you're going to put a camera on a logging road, you're probably going to have people walk by it. If it is an old road bed, that is a natural place that people are going to walk, and you're going to have more conflicts there. If you put it down in a really pretty creek bottom, it's a higher chance you're going to have somebody walk in there because it looks pretty. They're going in there scouting. If you put it in a pine thicket or on the edge of a pine thicket, a lot less chance you're having people walk in there.
Yep.
So take that in consideration. That's one thing that we do a lot of. But yeah, again, you can use a cheap camera. Cheap camera is perfectly fine. But if you're going to use a cell camera, I like those Moultrie mobiles just because you don't have to. Nobody can check that camera.
Yeah.
While they're out there. So take that for what it is.
So it might be the off season, but we're still always thinking about whitetails. And if you're looking to get more mobile this fall and you're looking at saddle setups, the two most common designs you're going to see are a single panel design or a double panel design. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. A single panel design is going to be more comfortable right out of the box, while a double panel design is going to be much more adjustable and customizable to your fit. We always say on the podcast, saddles are kind of like boots. Different people are going to like different things. As a general rule of thumb, I found that heavier set guys typically like a single panel more than they like a double panel. But other than that, it's just really a matter of preference. I personally use both of these saddles. This is the Method 2 from Latitude, and this is the Lone Star from Latitude. I will say that the Method 2 is really nice because it's a two-panel design. It's almost like you have a built-in back band that'll take a little bit of pressure off your back when you're sitting down. But if you're just getting into saddle hunting and you want something that's extremely comfortable right out of the box, the Lone Star is going to be your go-to. It has an advanced hip pinch reduction system in it, so right out of the box, this is going to be very comfortable, and you're not going to have the hip pinch issues that a lot of people have when they first get into saddle hunting. So if you want to be more mobile this fall, check out latitudeoutdoors.com to see these two saddles and a bunch of other mobile hunting gear. We've enjoyed them a lot, and I think you're going to enjoy them too.
One thing we talk about with almost every guest on this show is map scouting. My favorite map scouting tool is LiDAR. If you're unfamiliar, LiDAR is basically like a 3D scan of the Earth's surface. I like to say it kind of takes away all the surprises. LiDAR is now available on onX Hunt on their topography map. If you go to your app right now, click on the topography map, you can flip on that LiDAR feature and boom, it's going to come on and you're going to see what I'm talking about. The LiDAR is going to allow you to see things that are normally hidden from view. This might be ditches, bends in creeks, rocks, old road beds. I personally love old road beds because deer like to walk them. They're great places to find scrapes. They're great camera locations. And before, an old road bed or an old logging road might be something that you kind of happen upon while you're out scouting or hunting. Well, now with the LiDAR, before I go into an area, I can turn on that LiDAR and I can see exactly where those road beds are. Even old logging roads from the 1930s, you can still see them on there. So that allows me to go straight to those spots and check them out. It's just an incredibly helpful tool, and it's available now on onX Hunt. And hey, if you want to get 20% off your onX Elite membership, you can use the promo code SOUTHERN. Like I said, it's going to save you 20%. Go check out that LiDAR feature. You'll be glad you did. Know where you stand with onX Hunt. Yeah, definitely. On the trail camera subject, by the way, over this past summer, I haven't got to scout very much. We've been on the road. We've been recording, working a lot. But the few times I have went out and scouted, I've gone with Mike a couple times, and we put cameras on a bunch of spots, like on scrapes or on really good trail intersections. And throughout the summer, it's been pretty underwhelming. There hadn't been a lot of deer on camera, but I was kind of expecting that because I was telling Mike last time we put cameras out, I feel like they're going to shift into these areas. Like we might get some deer, but they'll end up shifting into it eventually. And because I don't know when I'm going to get back out there to reposition those cameras. Like I'm not moving them every week or anything like that. And dude, these last 2 weeks that happened straight up. I don't know what else. There's a couple things that I think are changing, but cameras that have hardly been getting any deer on them at all of a sudden bucks are showing up. A bunch of new bucks that we haven't seen yet, coming through areas that we haven't seen them in, a bunch of does in new areas we haven't seen them in. And I think the reason for it, I'm curious on your thoughts on this too, is one, the testosterone's starting to come up a little bit. Right, so like I got a buck on camera the other day that was like right up on the camera. I mean, his antlers were like taking up the whole frame, and that velvet, you can see it like starting to tighten up around the bases. Like you're starting to see all the gnarling or whatever around the bases and everything, and you can tell that he's kind of getting ready to pop, like probably in the next 3 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna be shedding that velvet. So I think that's one of the shifts. But another thing that our buddy Alan Summerford brought up on the show back in January, maybe, when we had him on. I don't remember exactly when he was on, but one thing that he brought up that was really interesting was, and I cannot remember the word.
Sequesting.
No, I don't think it was sequesting. That's not it. A nesting or something?
Senesting.
Senesting?
Yep.
Maybe?
It's senesting.
Anyways, basically there's a process that plants go through where, just to put it really simply, like they become less palatable to deer.
It's a life cycle. They're going through past the flowering stage into,
that's it.
Until the seeding production stage where everything dries up and all the energy goes to the seeds, and it's less palatable for the deer.
Right. So there's different plants across the landscape, and they all do this at different times. So they flower at different times, and then they produce their seeds at different times. And right now, like yesterday, there were some flowering plants that I noticed. I think it was Tictrafoil or something like that. It's a legume. Kyle showed us that one a couple years ago when we were out looking around. Kyle Lieberger from Native Habitat Project. And it's like a little creeping plant that grows, and it grows like a little vine around other plants. And it's got a three-lobed leaf, kind of like a soybean. And I was noticing yesterday one of those was flowering. And there's even by my house, there's a spot on the road when I'm coming home at night where I'll see deer in the fall almost every night when I'm coming home. And I never see them there during the summer. And once you get into late August, September, they start showing up there. And they'll be there for like a month or two until it really starts to get into like fall and winter. And sure enough, they started showing up there like a week or two ago. And it kind of got me thinking, I think that's one of the shifts that's taking place right now is certain plants are going into that seeding stage. That's a good description. Like when they go into that seeding, they're putting all their energy into the seed so the plant dries up so it's less palatable to the deer. They don't like it as much. While other plants are just now flowering, and that's when they're really nutritious for a deer. So some of those food sources are changing. I think that's one of the things that's shifting them right.
So like with the episode with Alan, I think what he was talking about is going through and brush hogging spots around some of his stand locations where it's like old field, and he's setting that vegetation back close to the stand so that it is earlier in its life cycle. It's regrowing, and it's sequestering later, going to that seed stage later, so it's more palatable for a longer period of time, and actually putting cameras on some of that stuff. So if you could find some of that, especially like right now, probably finding fresh browse pressure, you probably find what plant browse species and plants that these deer are now starting to target while everything else is kind of aging out. And it's not dying, so it's going to that seed stage, so it's less nutritious for the deer. That's probably one way you can kind of find those deer, and good point of like why they're kind of shifting. Mm-hmm. And it's not like they're shifting home range or anything like that. They're just shifting to a different food source, while everything else is kind of aging out right now. Even though everything's green and lush, it's at different stages. They're trying to find that new nutritious, browse that they can get on before acorns start dropping.
Yeah, all those little green new shoots coming up. That's good stuff, dude. I'll say something that's freaking awesome for seeing deer, hunting deer, getting pictures of deer in September specifically is dove fields. 100%. We've had luck on that, on public, on private. whatever the case may be. Everyone's getting ready to go shoot some doves here in the next couple weeks, and a lot of people for doves in the southeast, they'll top sow wheat or something like that to get the doves out. And basically, the first good rain after that, all those little wheat sprouts will start coming up, and dude, the deer hammer them. And we had some awesome hunts in Georgia a couple years back, hunting on a dove field that they were shooting every weekend. And we would be hunting it like right after they shoot it, and the deer are out there. They don't care about all that shotgunning. It doesn't bother them as much as people think that it would.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, but I think that might be one of the reasons why you're seeing that shift in deer now. Bucks are now showing up in spots you haven't seen them quite yet. They're just kind of moving around with that food source. And you can see it, like you go out there compared to like how it looked in May compared to now, like everything was so green and lush in May. Now you go out there and everything's kind of like get a little bit, not woodier, but
just dry
and harder. Like there's a big difference between like May, June to like August, September. You go out there and like walk through some of that vegetation. It's a lot more snapping and crackling and popping right now, Rice Krispian, than it was earlier in the summertime and late spring. So that's something probably to pay attention and look at. But also, I thought you were going to say looking for a kudzu, because like kudzu, it's terrible for trees, kills trees, grows, spreads like crazy. Would not want it on my property. But if you got property with kudzu and you're not able to do a lot of crazy habitat management trying to knock it back, deer are in that crap right now feeding like crazy. It's a legume as well, and it's high protein.
Yeah. Hunt the kudzu patch, baby.
We're not hunting it because by the time deer season comes in Alabama, that stuff's almost dead or getting close to being dead, depending on when you get that first frost. But for putting cameras out, finding that spot, like I'm trying to think who we interviewed in the past. Someone was talking about, or maybe it wasn't an interview, maybe it was someone I've just had talked to. I know, who's the snake guy? Jimmy
Stiles?
Jimmy Stiles, he talked about it on his place, finding a spot, like going into a kudzu patch and weed eating. I mean, it grows so fast, but weed eating a patch of it in front of a camera, putting a camera out, and the deer come as it's like growing those new little shoots and everything, because it grows so fast.
Ooh.
Deer coming in and feeding right there in front of the camera.
Ooh, that is slick.
Yeah, and I was like, huh. So, but because he says like one of his properties that he has, it's got quite a bit of kudzu on it, and he's like, that's how he gets a lot of inventory of bucks in the summertime, is going in there and like taking a weed eater and weeding out like a section that's only like 30 by 30 feet, putting the camera right there facing it, and deer come in there feeding around. Plus, it's like a new little opening they can move around in a little bit better.
Dude, that is pretty slick right there.
Yep.
That's good stuff. Another thing, I've kind of mentioned it earlier, but one thing we did yesterday was we went out and we found those 3 big old white oaks next to a little pine thicket that the deer are spending some time in. They're walking around this area a good bit. I can see their tracks in the road. Pretty much every time I drive through there, there's fresh tracks. And set up a little bow spot right there. But I think that's going to be one of the things I do, kind of going back to what we were saying earlier about this year's a bumper crop. And like I said, I haven't found an oak tree out there yet that didn't at least produce. And most of the ones I'm looking at are just absolutely loaded. And so one thing that I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to find more spots like that one, because one thing about that spot is that where I'm sitting, I'm like 3 feet off the road, literally. Not like a blacktop road, but like a club road, like you can hunt next to it. And people drive by it all the time, but I can walk in there. I can park, a quarter mile down the road or whatever and just walk into it completely silent, walking on that soft dirt, and then get my little blind or get up in a tree right there and hunt that very easily and get in and out very easily. So I'm trying to find a bunch more spots like that where I'm just kind of assuming now that all the oak trees are going to drop. So now I'm going back to, okay, where's the cover? Like, where are they trying to spend their time? And I'm just trying to find the oaks that set up really good in close proximity to that. And not necessarily do a bunch of pre-hung stands, but at least go in there and kind of figure out where I'm going so that when I walk in, I don't stand there for 2 hours looking for a tree or something like that. Or walking the place to death, like trying to find the perfect feed tree or whatever, because I don't really know what it's going to be like. I don't remember having a year like this for a while. Yeah. I don't remember the last time we had a year like this. Well, so I'm not totally sure how to approach it.
To me, it's a great situation when you're hunting pines and there's not that many oaks, but all the oaks produced.
Yeah.
Those pines, those oaks are isolated, like the little clusters of oaks isolated in and around the pine trees and the pine thickets, where like deer don't have to travel very far to go to feed and bed, is awesome. It kind of brings back to like Scott Seal's episode from a couple years ago. That's like his hunting styles, like those good years, getting those hardwoods and those SMZs, getting those oaks and those SMZs real tight to bedding, and having deer come in there all day long feeding. Like it's not just like an evening thing or right in the morning, but like go in the morning and sit until 1 o'clock, and deer coming through there at all points of the morning, all the way to early afternoon, feeding and getting a good opportunity at killing a buck in that spot if you can find it with the sign. So I think it sets up really good for this year, at least in our area, for the guys that are hunting pine properties with a lot of pine trees. Those individual oaks they produce, like you could have a really, really good hunt this year. Because that's the hard thing, is like when you're in one of those spots and it's not a great acorn producing year, and there's not that many oaks anyways, you may have a tree on your property, you may not have a tree on your property that's really producing. Versus now it's like you have quite a few you can bounce through, but it's not like huge landscape full of oaks. See, like for those guys, I understand like, well, those guys don't really like the high producing oaky, or some of them that hunt mostly hardwoods because there's so many trees all over the place. Like you gotta find the right tree. If you're hunting pines and there ain't that many in an SMZ, or there ain't that many scattered throughout the pines, it's pretty easy to go spot check them and figure out which one's getting fed on and set up appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. In my brain, I'm kind of thinking about it like you always got the variables of what are going to influence the deer movement. And when you have so much food like we're going to have this year, at least in our part of Alabama, I feel like it almost eliminates that variable a little bit, because every hardwood bottom I've been in is loaded. So, you kind of know where they're at. I don't have to like walk through there and find a tree that's dropping. I know that they're in there. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
It's going to be different.
Be a good year to get some shots in with the recurve on some deer.
Are you getting a string for your recurve?
No.
No?
I mean, maybe. It's not a priority.
Yeah.
No, rather kill them with compound.
Yeah, I need to take out my compound and start shooting it a little bit. I ain't shot it yet.
No, you shoot your wooden bow. That's fine.
Yeah.
Old Bear Kodiak Magnum. Just have fun with that.
Yeah.
It'd make for great stories on the podcast. Man, I had this stud came in here, sent it right over his back at 18 yards.
I'll probably be sending it. I've noticed I shoot low more than I shoot high. So maybe they'll drop into it. I'll get lucky.
That little recurve. So Andrew's got this Bear Kodiak Magnum recurve. Compact little sucker. It's okay to shoot. Yeah, I don't really enjoy shooting all that much. It'd be more fun if it was a little longer bow, I think.
Not a very forgiving bow.
Nah, not at all. But dude, that thing's got some snap to it. It'll send an arrow like surprisingly quick.
Yeah.
Like it ain't a compound, but like I've got some longbow. I got a longbow and a couple of recurves, and that Bear Kodiak Magnum is quick.
Yes.
So snappy little sucker.
Yeah.
But it's like we were at the club and you were shooting it on at the rifle targets, your cardboard, and dude punching holes in there, and it was fun. That and stump shooting, just shooting leaves and whatever on the ground. It was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I put one of those little judo points on it it's got like little spring arms. It's a blunt point, but it's got little spring arms that come off the side that just catch stuff, so it makes it pretty hard to lose the arrow. And a listener came by and gave that to me at one of the shows, which I really appreciate because I've shot that thing like 10,000 times. It's so fun because you can just shoot it at literally whatever you want. Like leaf on the ground over there.
Neighbor's dog, cat.
Maybe don't shoot at the neighbor's pets, but leaves. Yeah, I told you that I've started. Actually, Alan Altizer, when we interviewed him this past Monday's episode and this coming Monday's episode, it's a two-parter. When we were at Alan's house, we were shooting his self bow and his recurve bow in the backyard, and that's what he was doing. He had one of those little judo points, and we just walked out in the backyard, and he had a target and everything. He's like, don't shoot at the target, shoot at that leaf over there. And I don't know what it is about that. There's something like mentally about it that it increased my accuracy significantly shooting at just leaves on the ground. I guess because it's a smaller target to focus on or something. I don't know. But it really helped my accuracy a ton. And you can like literally just carry that bow. Like when we were out setting up spots yesterday, If we were stopped in a place for a minute, I would just get it out of the back of the truck and like shoot at a stump or a leaf or just whatever. And it's really fun. Like just getting out in the woods, and I was like crouching behind some cover and like trying to thread it through some thick stuff. And I don't know, dude. It's kind of addicting. I'm not going to lie. I enjoy it.
Good. You'll be our expert, or not expert, but you'll be our traditional bow hunting commentator.
Yep. Giving it a try. The reason that I'm picking that up is because it was my grandfather's bow, and I inherited it a couple years ago. I really want to kill a deer with it. Bad.
Do it. Jonathan Moreland, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Shot it for a week and went and killed a doe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and Jonathan was like, dude, you ain't gotta be stacking them, clover leafing it at 20 or anything. I was like, that makes me feel better. I was gonna hunt with it last year, but I seriously was not confident with that thing past like 8 yards. And I was like, I'm just not gonna. 8 yards is tough.
Get them
bro.
close, man. See the white in their eyes.
That's tough. Now I feel pretty confident at 20. So I'm gonna give it a try this year. We'll see. One thing about the recurve bow that I just enjoy is like I really just enjoy shooting the thing.
I thought you were going to say how lightweight it is.
That too. It's like carrying nothing in the woods. It's like
yeah.
carrying a stick. Seriously. But it's just fun to shoot. I mean, I like shooting my compound, but I'm not like, man, I want to go outside and shoot my compound right now. I'm like, oh, I need to go shoot my compound and practice. But that recurve, dude, I can't put it down. It's so fun. You were shooting pretty good with it, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'm good on it right now.
Yeah.
I'm just, It'd be fun. I don't know. Yeah, shoot it pretty good. I think it'd be different with the deer standing in front of me versus shooting the leaves and stuff at like 10, 12, 15 yards. But it'd be fun. Like, gosh, oh my gosh. What is like not Kid Rock. Ted Nugent. Can't believe we get those two confused. I guess both Michigan guys. But Ted Nugent talking about like the mystical art of the arrow.
Mystical flight of the
or
arrow.
whatever. I can't remember. Anyway. It's like, yeah. Was that something Fred Bear said?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If you're a listener out there and you know what we're talking about, go leave us a comment. Can I get some information on it? But the cool thing about shooting that traditional archery is it is moving slow enough. You do get to watch the whole progression of the arrow getting there.
Yeah.
Like compound must hunt, you're
Shooting a laser beam.
and this is like dunk, and you're like, that's kind of cool. Like can't really tell what happened. Just hit the target, especially at close range, but even at some distance, to about 40 yards. But with that recurve, especially if you're shooting like 20 yards, it's like you shoot it and you can like watch that arrow just dive into it. And it's pretty fun to watch, let alone shoot. And you're just like, I don't know, it's a good time.
Yeah, it is fun. It is very fun. So I'm probably going to carry the compound too this year. That spot yesterday, I've got it set up where I can go hunt it with the recurve bow if I want to. So the little ground blind we set up, it's just a little natural blind tucked up against a big dead stump, bunch of back cover, kind of tucked into a little hole in the leaves or whatever. And my furthest shot's like, I don't know, we didn't measure it, but it's sub 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're right on top of them. So I'm going to be wearing a leaf suit and everything for that when I hunt that. But I can also hunt it with a compound. So there's a pine tree about 25 yards away that I can get in, and I cut a little hole through these trees where I can kind of see down to where these oaks are going to be dropping. So I can hunt it with either one. So I think I'm going to try any of these preset areas that I kind of know I'm going to hunt a couple times this year. I'll probably try to do that in all of them where I've got options, If I feel like taking the recurve out, I'll take that or whatever. So I don't know, dude. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Well, we got our first work day at the hunting club this weekend, so got to go meet some of the guys, see how many listeners are in the club. So that is gonna be interesting. And get a little lay of the land, kind of based off where we're gonna be working. I think they said there's gonna be bush hogging, getting some shooting houses ready, and prepping fields, but they're not planting fields this weekend. Is kind of what it seemed like the president was saying. And so I'm interested in how that all goes. And hopefully, I didn't look at the weather. Hopefully, the weather's still nice. Because, God, I wish it was like this morning.
Yeah.
55 degrees this morning would have been awesome. But got that coming up. And then I'll say this. like with Alan's episode, Alan Altizer, who was just on Monday's episode, part 2 comes out this coming Monday. If you guys enjoyed Monday's interview with Alan, which it seems like a lot of y'all did, you will not want to miss part 2. Because part 1's really good. Part 2 is mind-blowing.
Yep.
It is fascinating. One of my favorite. This is like one of our favorite guests we've ever interviewed. My personal favorite guest. And there's so much good information in part 2. So is it up on Patreon?
No, not yet. I got to finish it today and get it up on Patreon.
Okay. Well, Patreon's gonna. Oh, by the time this episode comes out, it should be up on Patreon. So Patreon gets kind of some early access to it, which is gonna be really cool. Kind of get some feedback from them. And then by the time this episode came out, we've already done our next Hunters Hangout on Patreon. If y'all aren't a Patreon member, we do these weekly Hunter Hangouts. So it's a Zoom meeting. Get on there, we talk. It's scheduled for an hour. I don't think I've had one outside of maybe a couple where I had to get off within an hour. Most of them ran we've had some 3.5 hours long. So just kind of stay on. And like, if I don't have anything crazy going that next morning, just kind of stay up and just hang out with everybody. It's a really good time. So if you're interested in joining some of those Patreon meetings, those Hunter Hangout meetings, or getting early access to podcasts, you can go check out patreon.com/the Southern Outdoorsman and look at joining. So it's a good time. And it's kind of fun because it's like core group of guys have been on there for a couple years now, and every time we get on these meetings, it's like everybody kind of knows everybody, even though nobody's really met each other because everybody's come from different states. But it's a fun time.
Yeah, definitely.
Conversation.
Yeah, and we got more grunt calls on the way. Man, we get several questions a week about that. When the grunt calls are going to be back. We have more on the way right now, and Patreon gets first dibs.
Patreon gets first dibs.
As always.
Then next is newsletter subscribers.
Yeah.
So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter on our website, just go to thesouthernOutdoorsmen.com. First thing that pop up is subscribe to the newsletter. Again, it's free. Just put your email in, and we don't bog you guys with newsletters all the time. It might be once a month, twice a month, maybe. Just kind of depends on what's going on. But those people will be notified second after Patreon that grunt calls are available. So if you want a grunt call, which we've had, like Andrew said, a bunch of messages about it, either join Patreon or subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll have first opportunity before they sell out. Because I think I told this on one of the podcasts we just did, one of the Thursday episodes. One of the guys at the Mobile Hunter Expo in Dalton literally bought the one that was hanging around my neck because it was the last one. And I've been blowing on it all weekend. And he's like, I'm not leaving here without one. I'm not risking not getting one when I'll drop the next batch, which is the last batch. So he bought it off my neck. I'm like, all right, cool. That works. I'm like,
yeah, another thing I was going to bring up too, on these Thursday Q&As, y'all been submitting the video questions. We're also doing a Q&A every Tuesday on our Instagram page as well. Where we put something up on our story and get questions on there. And every once in a while, we'll throw some of those in the Thursday episodes also. But I wanted to bring up, we're going to do an episode with a Bowtech about archery, all kinds of archery stuff.
oh, yes.
Yeah. So getting ready for bow season, any questions about tuning up a bow hunting in general, bow maintenance, like just whatever the case may be, anything related to archery, send in those questions. You can send them in on our website via the contact form, or you could do it video Q&A. For that one, we'll probably do more of the written word Q&As. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I'd love to do some video Q&As.
Yeah, so any archery questions you guys have, definitely the guy we're going to have on.
If you have any crossbow questions, write those in as well. Because he works on literally everything. He sees the good, bad, and ugly with every archery product out there.
Yes.
And he's got some really, because I'm going to bring that up with him, whether someone writes in questions or not, when it comes to like durability of some of these different products, and like what he sees comes in more often than not from like a non-reliability standpoint. So if you have any of those questions like that, like you're in the market for looking at something last minute, write those in as well, because he's going to be a great resource to answer all of those questions.
Yeah, top notch.
Yeah.
When we get archery questions, I'm like,
Andrew used to be a Bowtech. I'm not the guy. Andrew was the Bowtech. But it's
many
like,
years ago.
But it's like after 8 or 10 years, and it's kind of all faded.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's been about 10 years.
You think you can still tie a D-loop?
Oh, yeah, I can still tie a D-loop.
Okay.
Peep sight. I can serve up a peep sight.
Okay.
You get beyond that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. When I was working there, we'd have that's back when the Matthews No Cam was big,
Oh yeah,
and people liked it because it was smooth, but it wasn't like the fastest bow out there
for sure.
And there was a guy that came in and he had us do this where the serving on the cables you take off. Basically, you draw the bow back and you mark on the cable where the where it like runs down to, and you remove all the excess serving,
Speed it up a little bit.
and it speeds it up a little bit. That was interesting.
Yep.
Well, he said it speeded it up. I don't know if it did or not. I don't think I shot
Do
it.
you remember the little
chronograph.
attachments you could get? They're like little weighted, like you'd serve it into the bowstring, and it would add like maybe a couple grams or something to it, but it supposedly made the bow faster, it made the string or something.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about that, because I don't know if I'm sure someone still sells them or makes them. I'm like, I don't know if I would want extra weight on the bowstring. That would, to me, make it, I just feel like logistically, not logistically, but like ergonomically, when that bow, if you've ever seen it slow, there's nothing crazier looking than super slow motion shot on a bow when that string loses all tension and it's snapping forward. It is the most insane thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's like, how does this function? How does it not blow up? Okay. And like having that extra weight on there, I'm like, I don't know how that actually would work. Because I remember that was big, like maybe 10 years ago. And guys like, oh yeah, it gets 3 feet per second faster, 5 feet per second faster if you add ever how many of them on there.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, if y'all want entertainment, go look up a super slow motion of a compound bow being shot and watch what it looks like. It is insane.
Dude, I'll say something back from when I was working in the bow shop and everything. We were talking about this last night. Just a little bow tip for you guys. Whenever someone would bring in an exploded compound bow that they dry fired, it always happened for usually one of the biggest reasons is, you know, you're dusting off your bow at September. Maybe you're showing it to your wife, your girlfriend, your buddies. You're like, yeah, check this out. And you grab that string with your fingers and you just rip it back. That's when it gets dry fired. Like most of the bows that we had come in that were dry fired, that's what it was. Because you get it back and that, especially on a shorter axle-to-axle bow, that string angle is so tight. When you get it back, it pinches your fingers or it just rolls off your fingers or whatever the case may be. Especially on a compound, because you get back and it lets off, and you kind of subconsciously like loosen that grip a little bit, and then that puppy gets away from you when you try to let it down.
Hey, back in high school, actually that reminded me. Back in high school, you know, when the boarding school,
A Subi story?
yeah. So the guy who was like the dean over our floor, he ended up buying a compound. He was ex-military. Actually, I think he's a listener to the podcast. Sorry, I'm not going to say your name. I'm going to tell the story. Either he bought a bow. Actually, he didn't buy a bow. I think it was Marshall's bow, my buddy Marshall. And he let him draw it back with his fingers, and he dry fired the fire out of his bow, dude. It seemed to be okay. I think they took it to the bow shop, and like there wasn't anything wrong with it. But dude, I'm talking about,
Oh my god.
I mean, drew it back with his fingers. Same thing happened. I don't know if it slipped or what, but dude, he let it. I mean, it went off, and I think it was okay. I think Marshall took it to the bow shop. But I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not letting anybody pull my bow back without a release on. And I'm not letting anybody pull my bow back.
Dude, no one ever pulls my bow back without a release and without an arrow in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you want to pull my bow back, we go in the backyard. You can pull it back, aim it at the ground. But like, that's the other thing. That's the other thing when it gets dry fired. It's people just pulling their bow back without an arrow in it. Just, I don't know, for whatever reason. And they just accidentally bump the release or whatever.
Or they
happens.
intentionally touch it off because this is second nature. to it.
Second nature, yeah.
It's like I can't draw it back without releasing an arrow.
Yeah, that was the other big one. Just never draw your bow back without an arrow in it. It's not a good idea. It's not worth it. You gotta blow that puppy up, son. But yeah, that happened all the time. You know, everyone's seen the video of the dude. Have you seen that video of the guy who's like, he's trying to show off for some girls or whatever?
He gets the head stuck in it?
Yes!
Yes.
And he draws it back. He's like, check this lead off. And he like puts the bow over his head. And that
His head's in between the string.
Dude, I'm talking about ate him up. And that, dude, I mean, it speared him right in the temple. I was like, not the arrow, but part of the bow. It hit him.
Yeah,
came down.
his head's between the riser and the string, and it's wider than 6 inches. His head is.
Dude, I'm talking about. Oh, I've watched that video so many times. I'm like,
I
that
thought
had to
I
hurt.
thought you were gonna talk about the video of the guy shooting the bow. I don't know what model it is, but he's drawn back full. You know, he's fully drawn back, anchored, and he's getting ready to shoot, and all of a sudden the limbs collapse, and it just like folds in on top of him, and kind of like it blows up, but it's not as dramatic as him dry fire and it explodes. But he's at full draw and those limbs go whoop, and just like comes back and he's like, and puts it down. Or there was a video of a guy, I've seen this a couple of times in different bows. He's drawing back and all of a sudden he like goes to release and nothing happens. And like the string goes slack. The cams lock in place somehow. They get stuck. And he's like, puts it down. He's like, get away from
Puts it down and runs away.
Dude.
I'm like, what do you do?
I don't know. That's freaky.
I don't like that.
That's when you put a screwdriver in the cam, between the cam and the limb to hold it there.
That's smart.
In case it breaks loose, at least that'll hold it. Might mess up your cam a little bit, but it ain't going to totally dry fire it.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, if y'all got any archery-related questions, y'all need to write those in ASAP before we record that episode with that fella. So that's going to be a fun one.
Yep.
That one's a long time coming, so
Yep.
it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a really good time.
But anyway, other than that, you got anything else?
No, that's all I got, man.
All right. Appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Go get your Freezer Queen shirt. Listen, I'm wearing mine right now. Link down below or pop up on the screen. Check it out. Again, appreciate everybody who's already been buying some of the new apparel. Both I don't have it on right now, but the Moss Oak Bottomland patch hat that we just came out with, the new hoodies, Freezer Queen shirts, and so on. Appreciate all the support there. If you want to pick up any of that, go to southernoutdoorsman.com, check out the store, and get yours today. But other than that, we'll catch you back here for part 2's episode with Alan Altizer this coming Monday. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.